do you even deserve better? Maybe this is just the life for me. Like, this is how things are just meant to be. If you're a woman and you are 30 and above, and you still feel like you're stuck, or you still feel like you don't have that support, I get you. I see you. And I can't say enough about how blessed I am. And you're going to understand how I got to this space. I want to talk to you about something today that I've never said out loud in this way before. And I need you to stay with me for this one because it's personal. This one is personal. This one is mine. And if it's yours too, then you may already know what I'm about to say before I even utter the words. There is a difference between knowing your worth and knowing what you deserve. And for a very long time, I knew one and had absolutely no idea about the other. I want to take you back for a minute, back to when I was a little girl, innocent little girl. I was chunky. I was insecure. I was insecure before I even knew what the word insecure meant. And I leaned on my parents, as every child typically does, to feel seen, to feel beautiful, to feel like I mattered to someone who was supposed to be there for me no matter what. And then my parents divorced. My mom, she remarried fairly quickly, and I did not like that. I felt like I had been abandoned. She moved to another state, and I remember that feeling so clearly. I remember that feeling that I had, feeling like she chose someone over me, like she left me. I didn't have the word abandoned yet, but trust me, I felt it in every part of my body. And I want y'all to know this is a very hard topic for me to discuss because I do not want you to get misconstrued with me sharing this story, because me and my mom have built an amazing bond today. But I feel like this is just something that I need to share because I know she supports my platform. She supports my podcast to the fullest. She's like my number one supporter. She listens to every single episode. She even writes notes about it. And I love her so much. So, Mom, if you are listening to this right now, I do not want you to go back to that place because we've moved so far beyond it. But I'm sharing this story because I want our story to help other women who may be going through the thing that I went through, the thing that you went through. And I want our story to help inspire them to move past it and to have an understanding of how they can move past it. Because whether you know it or not, we moved past our issues in the exact same way. And if you keep listening to this episode, Mom, I know you probably need to pause and dry those eyes, but I hope you can make it through because this one is really special. And I think that it's time that the world knows. So continuing on, I stayed with my dad and I was angry as a child. I was so angry and I didn't have a lot of family around me. So because I did not have a lot of family around me, I had siblings, but they were so much more older than me. And so I had friends. I leaned on my friends heavily. I was so fortunate to have friends at that time. It was just unfortunate that the friends that I had, they were just like me. We were all the same. We all came from broken homes. We all carried the same insecurities, and we all had the same empty spaces that nobody was filling for us. And instead of healing each other, we fed into each other. We influenced each other to do things that girls who probably actually had that real love and support at home probably wouldn't do. And it wasn't because we were bad girls. It was because we were looking for something. We were looking for something, but we were looking for it in all the wrong places. And that is where it started. I started dating, and the boys I chose They did not give a damn about me. Trust me, they wanted whatever it was that they could get out of me. And I was okay with that because at least somebody was paying me a little bit of attention. At least I saw somebody showing up for me, even if it was for the wrong reasons, even if it was just temporary, even if I knew in the back of my mind that this was not it, because it felt like something. And at that time, something felt better than nothing. Then we're going to fast forward around the age of 17. My dad remarries. Lovely time. He remarries. Me and his wife do not get along. We do not get along. We had arguments, blowouts. And what ends up happening? My dad sides with the wife. Once again, I want to preface this with my relationships with my parents. Oh my gosh, I love them both so much. And as I've become an adult, I understand how sticky life can get. And I know a lot of people are like, what? You chose this over that? Once again, it's not, this was my reality. This was my reality as a child. I felt like my parents were choosing people over me. It doesn't mean that that is exactly what it is. So I just want you guys to keep in mind, this is my perspective as a child, and this is how I felt. So continuing on, me and his wife, we got into an argument, and I felt like he sided with her. And it was like, just like that, I was back in that same space. I was still healing from the things that happened with me and my mom and our, us living separately, even though so many years have passed. I want you to know that just because time is passing does not mean healing is happening, because you can avoid pain as long as you want to. So just because the years have gone by does not mean that you're actually healing your pain. Time does not heal wounds. Work heals wounds. You have to work to get better. And that's not something I was doing. I was using band-aids. I was using boys as band-aids. So when the situation happened with my dad, what did that mean? That means I need not only another band-aid, I need a bigger band-aid. So then I move out with my boyfriend at the time. Actually, I was on the brink of deciding if I wanted to break up with him or not. But now, since I need to move out, I don't really have anybody I can go and live with. So the only option is for me to try and make this relationship shake, and we move together, and hopefully things will get better. But of course, we all know how that goes. So I made a decision in that moment. I stopped depending on people to show up for me. I became a loner in every way possible. Even though I was in a relationship, I knew that I was still alone. I stopped asking, I stopped reaching, I stopped expecting. And I'm not even talking about financially. I could always get financial help. It was the emotional, the mental support that was lacking. And when you feel like someone has betrayed you, when you feel like someone has abandoned you, you never want to entrust them with that responsibility of showing up for you in that way again. So what you do is you just don't put yourself in situations to where you have to depend on them to show up in that way. And once again, all while this is happening, all of these emotions and feelings are brewing, I never stopped using boys as a band-aid. Boys were always my band-aid. And you realize I say boys because as much as he was older than me, he was definitely still a boy. But I continue to use this relationship as a band-aid. I use these relationships that had no business lasting as long as they did. From the emotional abuse, the mental abuse, situations that I stayed in, not because I wanted to, but because I felt like I didn't have anywhere else to go. I was young, I was trying to build a life, and I felt like I had nobody to lean on. And my friends were going through their own versions of the same story that I had. Because once again, we had the same background and we were feeding into each other's negative decisions. I can laugh about it now, but is really an unfortunate situation because you find yourself creating this circle, and you want it to be your safety net, but none of you know any better. So you feed all of the negative decisions, all of the negative thoughts, and you think that you're helping each other, but you're just constantly pulling each other further and further, deeper and deeper into the water. And you think you're saving that person, but you're just helping them drown quicker, which is why it's so important for me to create a safe space where women can truly come and face themselves and be themselves and learn from each other and grow with each other. It is really embedded in me for me to create a safe space, because even still to this day, I have a closer relationship with my friends than any family member I can name. Of course, outside of my parents, but outside of them, when it comes to who I call when I'm going through something, when it comes to who I call when I need to vent, when it comes to somebody I can call that I feel like I can truly count on, it's always been my friends. Doesn't matter if the feedback and the support that they gave me turned out to be a good decision or a bad one. It was always my friends. So this space is like something truly important to me for so many reasons, reasons that are way deeper than just having surface level conversations. I'm really here to try and not just right my wrongs, but I just want to do something that levels out the field. And now that I know better, I want to do better. And I know everyone hasn't experienced the same journey as I have. And that is why I know that if you're a woman and you are 30 and above, and you still feel like you're stuck, or you still feel like you don't have that support, I get you. I see you. And that is why this space is here. I want you to be here so that you can go and grow through your journey as well. So, no, while me and none of my friends could save each other, I still ended up finding my way through. And I'm so blessed that I can't say enough about how blessed I am. And you're going to understand how I got to this space. So we're going to go ahead and continue. Years after that, I finally decided, you know what? I need some outside support. I had a really bad breakdown and I was just like, I need to talk to somebody. So I did therapy for a little bit, and somewhere along the line, I hit the wall. I hit a wall because I feel like the therapist that I chose at first, we just were not aligned. And at that moment, I didn't know anyone personally who had gone through therapy who could tell me, hey, just because the first one didn't work, you should still try and find another one. Keep trying to find, keep trying different therapists until you find the one that you match with. So I just went back into my shell, trying to figure things out. And I just sat in my room, and I would just remember having a moment to myself. And I was just thinking, like, do you even deserve better? Like, maybe this is just the life for me. Like, this is how things are just meant to be. It's a reason why I keep finding myself on the same road. No matter how much work I do, I keep finding myself here. And I just felt like, maybe this is how my life is meant to be, because I knew I was a good person. I knew I always showed up for people that I loved and I care about. I knew I was a loving and dependable person. I knew all the great and amazing things that I could say about myself. I knew all of those things, and I just could not understand why that energy was not coming back to me. And it all boiled down to this one thing, because all of those things described my worth. I knew what I was giving to other people. I knew. I come to the table, I know what I give, but I never knew what I deserved. I never knew what my standard should be. I never knew the things that I should require from the people that I allow in my space. I never knew what I deserved. Because in the back of my mind, I'm keeping record of every bad decision I ever made, every person that I may have ever hurt, every time I had not been who I knew I could be. I kept score every single time. So every little bit of work I did that built me up, I constantly knocked myself down a few more notches. And I used that record that I was mentally creating to decide what kind of life I was actually allowed to have. I've cheated on someone before in retaliation, but hey, cheating is cheating, right? I cheated on someone before, so maybe I don't deserve real love. I hadn't finished the things that I started. I went to school, stopped again, went to school again, stopped again. So maybe I don't deserve real success. I have been burned so many times by people. So I don't know. Maybe I don't deserve true friendship. And because I didn't believe I deserved it, I never demanded it. I never required it. I just accepted whatever showed up and I told myself, you know what? This is enough. Now I want to tell you about the season that changed everything. I was alone, but I wasn't lonely. Not in the way I had been before. Not where the loneliness was loud and desperate and reaching for anything that could give me some type of temporary happiness. This time was different. I was in isolation. I was living alone. No distractions, no band-aids, no noise to hide behind. It was just me. And I didn't choose God in some big dramatic moment. I didn't wake up and say, you know what? This is the day. It was slower than that. It was quieter than that. It was so peaceful. It just created space. And something started moving into that space. I started feeling healed in small places, in those tiny little spaces, places that I didn't even know were still broken. And I looked up one day and it just wasn't so painful anymore. I didn't know at the time that that was God. That was truly God. I wasn't going to church. And truth be told, I still don't go to church because God is in my heart. He is in my heart. I wasn't doing any of the things that look like faith from the outside, but I was doing the work on the inside. I could feel it. I could feel it in my chest like pieces slowly coming back together again. He was healing me quietly without me even asking because I finally created the space for him to do it. So here is where I am today. And I still don't think I give him enough. Not enough praise, not enough time, not enough attention. And I'm still on this journey. I'm still figuring things out. I'm not sitting here telling you that I have arrived, but I'm telling you this. I know what I deserve now. Not because somebody finally showed up for me the way I always needed, but because I found in God what I had been searching for in people my whole life. A love that does not leave, a love that does not abandon, a love that does not keep score of every single mistake that I ever made. And when you find that, you will finally feel that settling is no longer an option. And not because you finally have standards, but because you finally feel like you deserve them. The friends I had who were connected to the version of me that was operating out of that insecurity, those connections have faded naturally, quietly, some without drama, because I'm just no longer that girl. And I cannot risk going back to that space, not because I don't love them, but because I love myself too much now to go backwards. And that right there is what knowing your worth and knowing what you deserve really feels like. It doesn't feel like a hard decision. It feels like a standard that you're finally done negotiating about. And I want that for you, not someday, but today. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be fully healed. You don't have to be on the other side of every hard thing that you have been through. You just don't. You don't have to come whole. You just have to create the space. and let something bigger than your pain start moving into it. Because it will meet you there. I promise you. It will meet you there. I'm Jess. This is her clarity space where we build self trust one truth at a time. And if this episode found you, it was not by accident. Her circle is waiting for you. And don't worry, I'll meet you there.